Dumky is an untranslatable Ukrainian word from Little Russia. It is a kind of folk poetry often found in Russian literature and generally sad and melancholic in character. Dvořák himself used this description on the autograph of the piano arrangement he made of the Dumky Trio in Spilville. Dumky derives from the verb dumati that is common in all Slavic languages and means to think, to reflect, or to contemplate. During the time of the Cossack rebellion in the 16th and 17th century in Poland and Ukraine, Duma was an epic song. It was a folk song that was performed by beggars who have been blind since early childhood, wandering from village to village, guided by orphans, singing and accompanying themselves on a lute-like instrument, a bandura with 12 strings called the kobza. On the trail of the literary Dumka to which Dvořák refers, we come across the Ukrainian national poet Taras Shevchenko, who shaped this form through his poetry collection Kobza, published around 1840. I managed to find a translation in an antiquarian bookshop from Moscow, and I came across the following poem. The Ballad Singer. Who does not know the ballad singer, the blind old man who plays the kobza? You can find him in every town and village. Everyone knows him. When he plays, folk listen gratefully, for he gladdens and cheers them, though he himself has little joy. There by the fence, at all hours of day, he sits out his declining years. He has no hut of his own. Misfortune mocks his grey hairs. Yet he makes no complaint. At the market, he gives his listeners songs of lament, spine-chilling songs. What a strange, strange man is that blind old ballad singer. His song may start with jokes and jeers, but ends with sorrow, grief, and tears. The poetic thought and diction made me immediately think of Der Leiermann from Schubert's Winterreise. Beyond the village, there by the fence, peculiar old man, strange blind old ballad singer. Not only the language of Müller and Shevchenko have striking similarities, but also Schubert himself announced the Winterreise to his friends by saying, "I'm going to sing you a cycle of spine-chilling songs." Interestingly, it's Dvořák who says about Schubert in an essay in New York, "We find a Slavic character trait that he was the first to introduce into art music, the singular alternation of major and minor within the same musical period. We can hear that so well in the second movement of the Dumky Trio." We don't know if Dvořák ever heard the famous kobza player Ostap Veress, but his father was a zither player, and he had to earn his living from it when his wife died in 1882. In this year, Dvořák's passion for the Slavic spirit can be heard in his opera Dmitri. The plot begins where Mussorgsky's Boris Godunov ends, and it remains his most cherished opera. A few years later, when Tchaikovsky came to Prague to conduct his Eugen Onegin, he had a look through the opera score, and he remarked that in the Russian scenes where the people gathered in front of the Kremlin, Dvořák's music had emphatically Ukrainian elements. In the same year of Dmitri's composition, Tchaikovsky writes his piano trio à la mémoire d'un grand artiste, that is, his late friend Nikolai Rubinstein. Since then, this work has uniquely shaped the piano trio as a kind of requiem. Rachmaninoff dedicated his trio Elisjak to Tchaikovsky, and Shostakovich his second piano trio during the Second World War to his friend Ivan Soletinsky. But Tchaikovsky's title of the trio's opening movement, Pezzo Elegiaco, is also mirrored in Dvořák's alternative title, Elegies, for the Dumky. And it is no coincidence that the preceding work of Dumky is Dvořák's Requiem Opus 89, where we can hear the motive of a minor third feverishly pervading the opening of Dies Irae, as well as the last movement of Dumky. The Dumy, the epic songs arising of the Cossack rebellion, never tell of victory, but of death and defeat. Looking back to the past, extinguishing what is gone. In my edition of Shevchenko's Kobza, the author of the preface hails the celebration of the Brotherhood of Soviet People that apparently took place in 1939, the 125th anniversary of the Ukrainian poet's birth. What he fails to mention is that in this year the Kobza tradition has ended brutally through the liquidation by Joseph Stalin. Through the terrible events of the 20th century, Dumky has become a requiem with the inscription à la mémoire des grands artistes.